A feminist is any woman who tells the truth about her life. Who said that? Virginia Woolf. Welcome to Soulful Journey.
Soulful means something that's heartfelt, deep and profound. To journey means to travel from one place to another. This show is about deep and heartfelt discussions about where we are, where we're headed, and where we've been. It's a place where we highlight memorable moments we've had. This show is about everything and everyone that is good for the soul.
Welcome to another episode of Soulful Journey. I am your host, Venus Jones, author, poet, and educator. I am so excited to have you join me again for another episode because today we are talking about freedom and what that looks like for women in 2021. And we are also going to be exploring representation and a little bit about all of those things with an amazing artist who's multi-passionate, and she's the author of Angel and Hannah. So I want you to stay tuned. But before that, let's first take a deep breath. This is like we always like to do. And if you love this episode, make sure you share it with anybody who is a visionary or an empath. And all those high achievers who sometimes forget to pause, who are saving themselves and someone else. But how do we save ourselves? We save ourselves by focusing on our breath at least once a day. So take a deep breath with me today. If you've never taken one all day long, this is the time. So here we go. Feel yourself breathing in and feel yourself breathing out without trying to control your pattern of breathing. Relax your shoulders, relax your jaw, and notice how every breath is different from the next. It is the same with life, ever changing and ever evolving. And whatever is going through your mind right now, you can let it slip away. And just for this moment, we can come back to harmony. Because I pray that you are safe. You always know that you are accepted, you are forgiven, and you are loved. Yes. Okay. Now, my guest, I want to tell you a little bit about her. Her name means morning dew, and she's allowed people to mispronounce her name a lot, but I'm doing my best to get it just right because I just want to do that just for her. But it's Ishle Yi Park, and she's the first woman Poet Laureate of Queens, New York. She is the author of an award-winning book, The Temperature of This Water, and her latest novel in verse, Angel and Hannah, is available in bookstores everywhere, and I do have my copy. She has been featured as a featured artist in over 300 venues, and I'm talking across the world, of course, including the US, South Africa, Singapore, Jamaica, North and South Korea, Cuba, New Zealand, and more. Without any further ado, I want to welcome Ishle to Soulful Journey. She's so good for the soul.
Aloha, Venus. Such a pleasure and an honor to be here with you, sister. So grateful.
Yes.
Aloha.
Thank you, aloha. And I wanna do. I always like to start every episode with a poem. And this one I wanted to do for you. It's really short and sweet, but I was reading your book and I was thinking about what's going on in the world right now with reproductive rights and women, and I thought about this poem, and it's called freedom of choice. And it goes, you will never experience, you will never understand You will stop trying to control my body in the courts of this land.
Mhm.
And even if you change your sex, you can't produce what I can. And as a man, you can't feel what goes on inside of me. And another woman only comprehends to a degree. So before you dismiss the details in my case, look into the eyes on my face. Your life will never be on the line. So I laugh when you say the choice is not mine. Freedom of choice. Let's talk about freedom today, sis.
Freedom. Oh, cheers.
Okay.
Yes. Free. Thank
Free.
you.
What does freedom look like to you?
Freedom to me looks like the ability to choose what to do with my mind, my body, my heart, my soul, my my life, and that's something that I've had to struggle with a lot as an Asian American woman growing up in a very loving but conservative or kind of strict household, traditional, I'd have to say. And being somebody who loves freedom a lot, growing up in this country, I've had to be on a journey, and we are all on that journey right now to reclaim our freedom in so many ways. Body freedom, the freedom to choose what to do, who to gather with. Then you know what? I was watching this special with Naomi Campbell and Dave Chappelle recently. Did you see that? They did an interview together, and he was kind of talking about everything that's going on right now and comparing it also to prohibition times. And he was like, this is not the first time when the country banned fun. I mean, the way he said it was like very profound, and it made me rethink everything and contextualize it even more. I love him. He's so brilliant to me. So it helped me in that way, and to realize that we in this country, there's always spirals and cycles of certain traumatic events happening over and over, and also in the world. And so we are in that certain spiral right now. And while it may look and feel so crazy to us, in the past, women who have asserted their freedom were burned as witches. And, there's so many cases, and with Nazi Germany, everything that happened with the Yellow Star, and just how freedoms are slowly taken away. And even like visiting different countries over the years since I was younger, I've been blessed to visit many different countries with different governments, and it's a slow process. It's not like every one day you wake up and it's all gone. It's like gradual. So for us to assert our freedom, even like the right to breathe, I saw Tabitha Brown read like this children's story on her YouTube channel, and I was just watching it like a child, like just listening so gratefully. It's called B is for Breathe. Okay, I would totally
Oh,
recommend
love
it,
that.
adult or children,
Okay.
just to hear her like,
Well,
these
we
beautiful
start this show
healing
off with
messages at
breath.
this.
That's why we start this show off with breath, the same thing, right? Like,
Yes, I
I
love
don't know how
that.
you're
So
feeling about
wise.
that, but yeah, that's for what frees your
Mhm.
what, like, first of all, can you remember how we met? Because I know it was in New York, I believe, and I have a picture with you
Yes.
and Tahima Jess. And I always see that
Mhm.
picture and I think, oh my gosh, two of my favorite poets
I
in
feel
the
the
same
same.
picture. It was a
Yeah,
beautiful day.
it was just
Uh,
magical. I feel like it's divine. I love that you have that photo, and it's us at a younger time in our age, and we were all young, dreaming like poets who were in the scene at that time. And I love seeing people's faces around, and to get to know you and to see you grow and evolve on this journey over the years has been so inspiring. Like even now with what you're doing, and just showing all the multifaceted parts of yourself. Yes, you are an amazing poet, and yes, you are an activist, and yes, you are an amazing host. So like I love how with this digital age we're like unfurling, and we're kind of revealing more parts of our self, our soul, and our personality. And so I've gotten to know you deeper, even though we haven't seen each other in the visual world. I see you online, and I hear
I
you, and
see
I
you
hear
too,
your
sis.
vulnerability
I see you,
and
queen.
your truth and your
I see
magic,
you.
love.
Yes.
It's such, it's what the world needs now. So thank you for everything you do, Venus. God has
Oh, thank
blessed you. God has
you.
obviously blessed you as well.
You all every time I talk to you, and I know for those who don't know, you are currently residing in where?
I am
Hawaii.
on the big island of Hawaii. Yes,
Hawaii.
I'm so grateful and blessed. here.
And whenever I speak with you, the first thing you say
Mhm.
to me is aloha.
Oh
What does
yeah.
aloha mean to you? And for those who may not even know what that word means, but they know it's associated with the land that you're on. But can you tell us how would you define it?
Yes, aloha is such a deep word, and there's ways to break it down letter by letter, and just go into deeper meanings. But basically, it's love. And when people greet each other, they say aloha for hello and goodbye, but it also means love. It's like sharing the breath of life. Aloha. Ha is the breath of life. So when we
Ha,
meet, it's
aloha.
not like we're saying, yeah, how we say words have power. So instead of saying hello, like hell, we say aloha. We share the breath of life. So it's very warm, and you use it for people who you feel warm towards. So I love it because
Oh,
it's a way of life here, and it really
I
taught.
got this from Alice. I don't know
Oh,
why
yeah,
she does that. Have you ever seen her do that?
I
I just
know.
feel like
I love
Alice
it.
Walker does this.
Mm.
But yes, that's how I feel. This is almost like applause, I think, too, for sign language, but for those who are listening.
Oh,
But
good to know.
I just feel like when you say it, though, I just feel so warm inside when you say aloha, and I always want to greet you the same, and now it's
Oh,
almost like namaste with me. Like it just feels good.
oh.
And thank you for sharing what it means to you with me.
Mhm.
So I have a lot of soul chat questions for you, and then we'll dive deep into what freedom is and representation as it pertains to women, because you are an amazing feminist who's telling her story. I started off with a Virginia Woolf quote, and Virginia Woolf. Wow, I mean, another amazing writer, but you are an amazing writer, and you wrote this new book, Angel and Hannah, which is a novel in verse. And I have my copy. And I'm so proud to say that I was one of the first. I couldn't wait to like pose with my copy so you could know I was one of the first to
I
read
know.
it.
I was
Remember
like,
that?
ooh, it's a beautiful picture, Venus. Thank
Because
you.
yes, I am so stand for you like all day. Because I know you are like someone who first generation most likely, right? Like I don't know. Are you first generation, like highly educated or whatever that looks like?
Um,
Tell me
I'm
about your
second
family.
generation Korean American in New York. My parents, yeah, they went to college, they met there, and they found love many years ago in Korea. But yeah, I was the first born in America, and it's been quite a journey. Yeah.
So you were, yeah. So okay, so it's been quite a journey. So tell us about that. Like, when you think about representation as it pertains to those two words, representation and like freedom. Well,
Mhm.
let's just start with representation. What do you believe your family wanted you to represent?
My family, I love them so much, and they went through a lot of pain and trauma because they were basically like running from the Korean War and the after effects. And so, you know, during the time that they left, there was a strong military dictatorship in Korea in the 70s. And so they too wanted freedom, more freedom of peace and being able to raise their children in a safe environment. So we migrated to, the United States, and it's been quite a journey. Like, as an Asian American woman growing up in this country, there's like really not a lot of representation whatsoever of us in the media. So growing up, you kind of feel like, am I a vampire? Am I invisible? Like, because sometimes people pretend not to see you, or the way they act is different because of your race, or because
Yeah.
of different things. So, yeah, having no like language for that, or any context, or any kind of background, just having to live it was kind of very hard. And not just for me, but for many, I believe, Asian American women in particular, because we are like the highest suicide rate, statistically, Asian American women. And I really feel like part of that is because we don't see ourselves reflected anywhere except in ways that I read somewhere, that in a survey, that more than half of like the media that portrays Asian Americans is, we're the butt of the joke. So it kind of like does something to the psyche to not see yourself portrayed in like multiple ways, or in like a wealth of different kind of situations at all. Like, so part of what I'm
So,
doing.
so that's a lot of pressure. So I don't know about you, but have you been a minority a lot of the times where you're like the only one when you
Growing
were growing
up
up?
in a, yeah, in a very like white suburb, we were always the only like ones. We were very much called chink by like, neighborhood kids, and had to deal with a lot of like tough uh kind of racism when we were younger. And but then I was so lucky because I did have like this beautiful warm safety net of the Korean American community. So our parents would gather, and they had these things called kes, which are like these get-togethers, and they're also like informal money pools, So they're a way for us to sustain ourselves, like financially and friendship-wise, and keep like these circles of friendship. So my parents were in like three or four of those or growing up, and this is common for most Korean families. It's just not spoken of that much. But because of that, every month we'd party and we'd meet with other Korean American kids and have like this little group that I grew up with. And so that's how I was able to, keep my culture and not end up like how some people like end up hating their culture because they just don't know enough about it from when they're younger. But because I had that, that was like kind of like my lifeline and my safety net and my group of friends who I could just be me with and not be like the only Asian nerd kid in class or whatever, the other perceptions of me that I had. So I'm so lucky that we did have that. And then
Um,
my parents separated, and then I moved to a mostly like Black and Hispanic neighborhood, and I was like, the only China in those neighborhoods. So it was also an adjustment. And as an Asian American woman, you're just like, where is my place in this, and how do I fit in? And so navigating that has always been interesting. And now living in Hawaii, like navigating, the different worlds here. It's always a journey, but at the heart of it, I feel like a soul star seed. I'm a child of God, and so are we all. So that's pretty much what unites us all. Like, we're all in these different like skins for a brief moment of time here, but the journey is much longer.
right, right. And when I was growing up, my parents wanted me to represent, I guess, maybe a church going girl. I did like going to church a lot, and like it was like church and school, and that was it for me.
Hmm.
So I feel like, and I was also, they wanted me to like represent like military life, but I kind of like rebelled a little bit with art. And I don't know about you, but did your mom always want you to represent art? Were they always into and supportive of your artistic career and things though?
My mom, thank goodness, was because she wanted to be a writer when she was in college. Yeah,
Okay.
so she majored in English and all this stuff. So I feel like I started my journey, and I was really encouraged by her. Like, she was the one who took me to my first ever Asian American poetry reading at the Asian American Writers Workshop when I was 14. And it was a big deal to like go into the city at that time because she was like a suburban mom. She didn't really venture outside to the big city at all. And she made this date, and she took me out. My dad is much more like a tough, like rugby playing, like very like tough Korean traditional dude. And he just wanted me to get married and have a stable life and like, be a doctor or a lawyer, doctor or lawyer's wife.
He did want that. 'Cause, I mean,
Oh
I
yeah.
feel like that's the stereotype, is that like,
Mhm.
most Asian families, you can only be a doctor or a lawyer. And I don't know. It sounds like you didn't have that. It sounds like maybe you had it a little bit with your dad, but not as much with your mom, which is
Well,
interesting.
my first art ever was painting and drawing, and I got into like this art school, but then my dad didn't let me go because he was like, "Oh, you can't make money in art. Art is like, just for hippies, whatever." So he forced me to go to this other school, which they majored in like, uh, English and literature, and that's how I got into writing more because I was like, oh, okay, this is what I'm left with. But now that they've grown up and they're older, my dad has evolved so much as a human being, and he's so like beautiful and gentle and kind now. And it made me realize how like just living in this country as an Asian American man must have been so hard for him in so many ways, and he wasn't able to communicate that, but he took it out the way that men take it out, so now that he's older, he's so much softer, and we sing together now, which is like one of the greatest gifts. Like, I love singing with him and things like that. So, I'm grateful.
Oh wait, is there a song that you play with your dad? Because I'm just going with the flow here.
Yeah, I mean, we sing like some old Korean love songs and stuff like that together, and like arirang and saranga, and he teaches me songs that he loved back in the day, and then I play them, and that's one real way that we've bonded over music, and so I'm so grateful for that. So with
I
my mom,
feel
with writing, she reads so much, so
yes.
I'm she's telling
Okay.
me, yeah.
Okay. I have so many questions for you. So I kind of dived in, and I feel like we could pause here and you share hmm, like a poem that you or a song, because I see that guitar next to you. Or is that a ukulele?
It's a ukulele. Yes,
Ukulele. So I don't know if you want to do that, or I I feel like yes, let's go with that spirit, like of you sharing something with that. Is that okay?
okay. Yeah, sure. It would be my pleasure and honor.
Yes, something that like it could be a song that you do with your dad, or it could be anything that you want to share with us right now
Okay.
that represents you. Because I know a lot of people know you as a poet, but some people don't know that you also sing.
Yeah, I'll sing a cappella just like this old Korean love song that
Oh,
we
that's
always
fine.
sing.
Yeah, because I
Yeah.
whatever you want to share.
And it's called Arirang, and it's like the unofficial Korean national anthem.
Okay.
And it goes like this. 아리랑 아리랑 아라리요 아리랑 고개를 넘어간다 나를 버리고 가시는 님 시리도 못 가서 발병난다.
Oh, that is so beautiful.
Oh, thank you, love. Mahalo.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Aloha. Yes, we say laughter is the medicine for the soul too, right? Laughter is so good
Yeah,
for the soul. And I never noticed that until you said that even aloha has a ha in it. Ha.
yeah. That's life.
Yes. Uh, so I want to ask, thank you for sharing that song that you share with your dad in a loving way. And I just want to also ask, what's the first being the poet that you are? And I'm sure your dad was like, well, maybe you can make some money after he saw that you were the poet laureate of Queens. What was he thinking then? Like, okay.
Oh, they were tripping out when there was like the Channel 13 special, all kinds of like little news, and they were like, "What?" Getting calls from their friends in Long Island. They were like, "Oh, okay." So they were
Okay,
happy.
maybe we were wrong about this.
And then I was like, "What's next? Where are you going next?" He would always ask. So it was fun.
Oh, that's
My
so
grandfather was like, "You're like Marilyn Monroe. You're going here. You're going there." I was like, "What? How do you even know Marilyn Monroe?" Funny guys.
and so there's like the Queen of Queens and all that thing that they really. You said there's like a special day for you already, even though you haven't passed on yet. That you already got a special day. Did I read that? Or
Oh, honey, I don't know. They were just very nice to me during that time. I think I'm
yeah,
so
well, you must have worn the crown well. So and I know you still are once a poet laureate, always a poet laureate, and I'm glad that you've been recognized, even though it's a diverse neighborhood that you grew up in, Brooklyn, right? But I think
yeah.
one of the reasons why you've been accepted so well, like I know you also from Def Poetry Jam, and your work on there, and I think it's because when I see you, I also see a bridge builder. I mean, I don't. Do you see yourself as like someone who can reach across the aisles and really speak and go into different circles, like unlike others? And do you see yourself that way?
Yes, I pray and I try to be because I feel like we are all connected. I really believe that. And I believe that we're all souls on this journey and we're here in these skin bodies for a brief amount of time. But, while we're here, we might as well build the bridges and be the grandmother spiders that connect everybody with love. I feel our sole intention is to remember and come back to source and remember how we are all beings of love. We are angels of God here on earth, like, sent here for this mission in this very challenging time to kind of remember to love each other. So, especially, it feels so great and a blessing to be here with you. And like, I feel like I should be a bridge between Korean American and African American people as much as possible, because once I realized how much of the narrative was being controlled, and like we were pitted against each other, and that when I actually like made friends with folks, like there's so many commonalities and so many beautiful ways that we are alike. And media likes to focus on the differences, but especially after I went to Africa and I lived in a little Zulu village with a Zulu family for like a summer, and I went back and visited them, and they still call me brother, sister. They really like gave me so much pure love. It made me realize, wow, we are so brainwashed here in the United States to like, not even like look at each other with love, and the way they hello and Zulu culture is Salbona, I see you, and I was like, wow. And I felt really seen there, and I was like, I just felt like,
how do they say hello again?
Salbona, Salbona,
They say
Salbona.
Salbona.
Yeah.
So that's their version of aloha or namaste.
Yes,
It's like, I see you.
it's so direct. Like, I see you. I see your soul. So
I
when you
love that.
yeah, me too. I love that. And it made me realize how much I was robbed of, and how much I was like, okay, so now that I know that all this is just a lie, and like, we were fed mistruths and misconceptions about each other and whatever, then I feel like now is the time to come back to love and communication, and building those bridges, so that we're not just following through on trauma or creating these same narratives, but creating new friendships and loves and connections that can really sustain us during this time. Because in ancient times, like the Afro-Asiatic connection was strong too. We just are not taught about it. And like even within our own generation, like I was blessed enough to study with Yuri Kochiyama when I was a college student. I would check it out.
No way, because I was going to ask you about her and how you felt about it. And if, for those who don't know, she was during Malcolm's some of his last breaths that he took, she was holding his head.
Yeah, and she was such a humble.
She was, yes.
Sweet woman. And I was just a college student, and I would take the train all the way up to Harlem and go to these meetings to help free David Wong, and we had free Asian American political prisoner meetings at her house. She was already older, but she was still doing the work, like without anybody.
I did not know you studied with her. Wow.
I mean, we would just go there. She would make butter cookies, and we would sit and talk and strategize and try to like do activism stuff like for hours. And the meetings are really long and dragged on for hours, but it was so good to be in a room full of people who cared and wanted to do something. And she was just there like the mom I had. So she's like, and like whatever I can do in my small way in my lifetime to kind of also, create that love and that bridging between communities and cultures, like I would love to. It would be an honor.
Because sis, listen.
Yeah.
You've been called names, as you said. You were in certain situations where you were the underrepresented, right? And the one that was looked over sometimes, often. Speaking of representation, you just weren't represented. So people just kind of glossed over you, or when they did see you, like you said, they called you everything but your real name, right? Or right. And so how come you didn't get bitter and say, well, screw all these Black people or screw all these white folks? Because, how did you learn how to rise above it and be a bridge?
I was bitter. When I was younger, I was bitter about different things, and I just wouldn't share it with the world. I was bitter and angry, and I held all this con and hate, like just hurt. Really, it was hurt, But then, in terms of not really with the African American community, because from when I was young, I was a reader, and one of my first, like my favorite writer of all time was Alice Walker. When I was first reading, like when I was 12 years old, and I found The Color Purple, and she actually has an amazing quote that like she believes she's a womanist, which she feels is like how like feminist, here's the quote, but womanist is to feminist as purple is to lavender, and I was so moved by her writing from when I was younger. So like it just, if you feel somebody's soul through writing, it can help connect you and make you feel like empathy and love and compassion and understanding. So I feel like because of her, she saved me from Western education and what I was being taught is subconsciously. So I was reading the right things to like open my mind
Yes,
from a young
to open
age.
your
I
mind
was
and help
really
you
mad
see that
about like
history.
systematic racism and like patriarchy and colonialism. Those things are still things that like fire me, but I feel like I went through this whole big activism period in my 20s, and I was just like protesting everything and yelling and screaming and going to all the rallies and
All
singing
of
and
it. All of it.
as much as I could. But then after a while, sometimes you get tired and burnt out when you're so like go, go, go. So that happened to me, and Hawaii saved my life. I really feel like living on the islands and moving to a place where self healing, is seen as something sacred and necessary. Like it helped me kind of ground down, slow down, and also having children, and seeing that I want to be alive for as long as possible to enjoy my children and my children's children and my great great grandchildren. So I have to be wise and strategic and conserve my energy and do it in a way that, I can stay alive as long as possible. I won't get killed so that I can enjoy my children, but at the same time affect change in whatever ways that I can. So knowing that gives me like a longer picture than I had when I was younger and I was such a fiery little firecracker.
Firecracker, boom, boom. Okay. Well, no, that's great. I just I'm wondering, you say Alice Walker. Was there a book or a TV show or even a poem, something that really stands out that got you on this path, this revolutionary path when you were a
You know,
child?
I would have to say it was all the books of Alice Walker that I read, because once I read one, then it just opens the door to all of her beauty and the love. So
Mhm.
possessing the secret of joy, very relevant, you know, considering what's going on right now today with the abortion issue in Texas, and um, I also
Yeah.
love Toni Morrison and Sonia Sanchez. So these are Entizaki Shange. These are the readers,
But
Maxine
oh
Hong.
my gosh. Well, I
And
already know who all you love because in this book,
um,
I've never seen a longer acknowledgement
you know,
section than in this book, Angel and Hannah. And I loved it because I
um,
really related to a lot of the people in here that you were shouting out. But
mm,
I don't think you left anybody out.
I tried not to, and that actually was inspired by Saul Williams, because
Really?
I love
Okay.
him. He was a friend of mine. And yeah, I mean, he was really good friends with Bo, who's a really good friend of mine. And then I remember watching him and reading at one point, and he just gave a roll call of all the ancestors and all the people he loved. And it was so epic, and it just spanned space and time and centuries.
Right,
And
because it's almost like another poem. I almost felt like
yes.
maybe you could read it, but it's just,
hmm So for
you
me,
know,
I just wanted to express my gratitude so that people know, even if this is, I just want you to know who influenced me and who made me the writer that I am today. Is all these people, all these musicians, like had a huge part to play in who I'm becoming, and I'm grateful. So it's kind of my love poem to them and my open door. Like if any of those people ever want to collaborate or work with me in the future, it would be a true blessing and an honor. So that's why
well,
I
you
did.
already put it out there, so they know. I love
Yeah.
it. I wanted to also ask you another soul check question. It's a standard question we always ask is if you could, they say you can't take it with you, but if there was something that you just wanted to take that's really close to your spirit that keeps you, you know, keeps your vibration high, what would that thing? What's that one thing that you want to share with us, or maybe tell us the story behind? It could be a
Um,
picture, it could be a book, it could be a gift that was given to you on this journey.
Yeah, I have to say that this little ukulele right here has been on many journeys with me. And when I don't have her by my side, I feel naked. Sometimes when I go out,
Oh,
and I left her at home and she's not in the car, I'm like, where's my ukulele? Where's my ukulele? Because she brings such comfort and just good vibes. And whenever I want to create like a nice little mood, I can have her there. And so the power of music is the most healing power to me, and so it helps me just be in a nice vibration all the time.
I love it. Yes, keep playing.
Oh, there's one string out of tune, so I'm sorry. But in a little bit.
Oh, well, that was beautiful. What you shared is
Oh,
great. Oh, well, I do think that I really, can you tell me about a time where, because again, going back to you being somebody who's, representing freedom for your people and for other people. Can you tell
Mhm.
me about a time where you had to stand up for someone else that was underrepresented or marginalized?
Yeah, I've had I've hosted multiple benefits where we've done work to raise awareness against domestic violence and women who have suffered in situations of domestic violence. So that's something that is close to my heart that I had to deal with, growing up. And so I like to do what I can to kind of raise awareness about that. And then, my friend Suhair and I, we did a few benefits back in the day where we raised awareness about what's going on in North Korea and in Palestine. And there was another poet back then named Mariposa who we also worked with, and she spoke about what's happening in Puerto Rico. So it's yeah, it's a blessing to kind of use our platform as a place where we can discuss these issues and talk about things that are affecting our community and air some dirty laundry to hopefully affect change, even though it's not pretty or sometimes frowned upon within our own community.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
Mm-hmm.
And you tell your story a lot in this book. Or is this your story? I don't really know. Like when I'm reading it, I
Mm-hmm.
know it's possibly based on some of your own true story. Is it?
Yes, it is based on, but it's totally fictionalized. Like, names and places have been changed and stuff like that. And the timeline is completely all like different because I definitely wanted this story to take place in an arc within a year so you could see the changing of the seasons. It is based on my first love, which I dated a Puerto Rican young man, and we were together for over a decade actually in real life. So this is kind of the meat and the soul of our experience condensed into one book. And a lot of people didn't understand like why I fell in love with him, why I chose him, because economically, class wise, and race wise, like, sometimes people don't understand. So this book was very much a gift to us and to anybody else who's been in a love that is not approved by people in their family or community, like people who are brave enough to choose love even when it's difficult. So
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
a lot of us are doing that, and a lot of us do that. So this is just to all lovers, and it's a celebration of
Yes.
love, and kind of like there's a tribute to Romeo and Juliet, and just that kind of. It's a classic story through space and time. The story of love is similar no matter what, and first love is very
Didn't you
strong.
are you still thinking about turning this into a film?
Yeah, there's been talk of that. So there have been a few people who have contacted me, and there's people who are supposedly like working on it. So we'll see what happens if that unfolds. I feel like life is long, and if that happens, that would be a blessing, and I'd be grateful. So we'll see.
Yeah, yeah. Time will tell. It's always telling, I like to say. And
Mhm.
I was thinking about the voice though, speaking of standing up for the underrepresented or the people who are marginalized. In this
Mhm.
book, I feel like there's voices in here that you really spit like you're such an attention to voice with your craft. And I really love what you were doing like with Rafi's voice. And
Hmm.
I don't know, like, do you mind reading because especially since Rafi's voice is kind of like this show is really about life and what happens in the hereafter, which even though we may not know what, do you mind reading what he says about what he
Sure.
wants to happen to him on page 92?
Oh yes, it would be my pleasure, dear. And you know what? I have to say, this poem was based on a real conversation that I had with a young boy who was positive, HIV positive with, at the time, like many years ago. So I always remember what he said to me, and this is how I
Wow.
interpret it in my words.
Has he
So,
transitioned?
no, the beautiful thing is he's still alive through the power of all these new medicines,
I
and
don't know, just like Magic Johnson, girl. I'm
miracles
like,
are doing everything. Exactly.
I
And sometimes,
remember like we had a public funeral for Magic Johnson. He's still here, COVID and all.
yeah, God bless.
I know,
So,
right? That's so funny. But yeah, I would
mhm.
love this. But let me hear what Rafi thinks about his hereafter, what he wants.
Okay. When I die, I don't want to be buried in dirt. 'Cause I saw a kitten last week dead behind the school fence. and he had bugs and maggots all crawling out of his ear and into his eye, white, tiny, eating him from the inside. When I die, Paloma, put me in a box and burn me in a fire like I seen on Channel 13. Then take all my smoke and dirt, all the small handfuls of me, and climb the Empire State, Paloma. Climb it and throw me in the wind so I can fly like those pigeons who black the sky with their wings.
Wow. And then and then you go into Alma's voice. I love. Can you read that one too?
Yeah, sure. Alma's voice. She's a keeper, I told Angelito, because the way she played with Rafi, my littlest angel, the way she laughs with him all day and doesn't tire of his constant bothering and games, she ain't a wild child like me, that's plain to see. He needs a good girl in this too tough world, one who will treat him like gold. And I see the little things they do to please each other, the sweets, the door openings, the kisses and rubs, back rubs and holding hands. It's cute, even innocent looking to me. I like it. He needs more sugar in his life. I pray one day they make a baby and he makes her his wife.
Oh, and that's sweet, right? When
Thank
you're getting the blessing. This is how you
Yeah,
you're getting the blessing from the family, right?
yeah, that was big.
So I love that, right? Like because sometimes people have preconceptions of who we are until we show up and um
Mhm.
yeah, so and really show up in a way where we're so but this book, wow, I'm still diving deep in it and it has so much in it. And there's so many poems I have like little like pages when I want it, but I just feel like I also want you to read one that you want to read. Like, but those were just two that were standing out to me when I just wanted people to see all you poets out here that are listening how she can like really bring character to the voice and how each voice sounded different. And
Mm.
in regards to craft, I mean, is there a trick to that? Maybe it's a call.
I don't know. I think, I just love words and the magic of words. Words are spells. And so for me, hearing beautiful poetry has always inspired me. It's like a kind of music. So you're doing with words what musicians are doing with notes. And
But are you really like when you say this, like were those some of the words? Did you like go to your journal and like say, and were you or do you just remember what someone said and that was the inspiration when you first started writing and thinking of the voice of Rafi or Alma?
well, it would come to me a lot in dreams and right before sleep. So that's when I channel the best is when right before sleep or right before dawn at those fringes of day and night, is when that kind of magic filters through for me. And
Ah, yeah.
yeah, so that helps a lot. But I also, the dictionary is my best friend. And sometimes I love to go in there and hunt for magic words. And so I put a lot of those in there, just words that have power or meaning. So, and are not the typical words that I use in poetry. So I like to mix it up and kind of put both, so it just,
Yeah.
my writing fresher than if I had just done it without, thinking as much or, it's kind of like a craft that the great thing is that it's on paper. You can always come back to it and play with it until you feel like it brings you some kind of joy. So I'd be
Well,
happy to gold hoops for
yeah,
you.
yeah, please. You know, especially given what's going on right now, I feel like you really go there with given that you are a student of Alice Walker
Mm-hmm.
and Yuri, I can see why now.
Mm,
Just women's rights, though, right? And how if you want to read a poem that might speak to that and the woman's sacred circle and like things like that, or anything that kind of ties back to what you believe that is going to get us through these times as
mm-hmm.
women when
Yeah.
some people feel like their freedom
Mm-hmm.
is is um is not up for discussion for some, but
Mm-hmm.
for others who are less protected,
Mm-hmm.
it is up for
Yeah.
discussion. So what do you say to that? Or is there, as an artist, what is our job? I know Nina Simone says that our job is to reflect the times, and that's a big it's a big obligation as a writer to reflect the
Yeah.
time. And I feel like you're doing that. So I didn't know if you wanted to share something from that on from the book on that topic, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like we're here together and we learn and we grow as women, and just you actually creating this kind of sacred space for us to gather. We are doing the good work however we can, right? With
Yeah.
poem by poem and by connection. And so this poem is just about a girl who's learning herself and growing into her own beauty and reclaiming it and learning it from the inside, and it's called Gold Hoops. And it's about bravery and freedom in a way. One day, she will be brave enough to venture away from her huge gold hoops and tight bodysuits, from parroting her mean friend's laughter, or sitting on that stoop for hours trying to look half fly, half tough, sucking on a sour apple blow pop, listening to the boombox spit out hip hop. One day, she will look at her rough, scarred face without her MAC eyeliner and stop
Mm.
hating those young, haunted eyes. I hope a slant of gold light will hit her cheek just right, and it may come as a surprise to her how fine she really is. Fabulous, sleek, soulful, full of her own juju and mystique, a rose fury, gold lightning when she hits the street.
Yes. I love that one too.
Yeah,
Go
so
lightning, honey. When she
aloha.
gets my street. Your endings talk. They really, really do. There was a where I had put another one. I said because I took a workshop too about endings talk one time, and your work is just so honest. It's just so
Oh,
honest,
you're
and that's what I
well.
love about your work. I really do. What did you say?
Your work is so honest and brave as well, and you do things in your work that I'm in awe of. Okay, like I was literally like almost crying at before our interview when you were sharing all those poems because
Yeah, I
yeah,
shared so many with you because I just wanted you to know how much we think alike.
and I respect you so much. I love your writing. It's what the world needs right now. You're saying it so clearly and so honestly, and it's speaking to what the women in our country and in the world are going through. And yeah,
Well,
God bless.
you help me.
What
You
we've been
help me.
waiting for, said June Jordan. I believe that.
Yes, we are the
Yes.
one. We are,
Mhm.
and you just help me. You help me stay brave and get and become more and more brave every day. Just being around people like you. That's why I do this work, right?
Well, like
It's a
it,
little.
it's the circle of love. I feel it. I feel the same way about you, my dear. So
Oh, yeah, and I can't even think about all of. But there was SOS. Oh, I love SOS too. And it's just and then I want people to check out Godless too. That last line in Godless, it's just like I was like, wow. But I don't. I everybody who reads the book, you're gonna have your own favorite lines and your own favorite poems. But you are doing the work, and a lot of people may not know this, but you have been working on this book a long, long time. How long has it been?
oh Lord, this book has taken
Because I know I need inspiration
this
because I've been
time.
working on it. No, tell me because I need to know the whole truth because you don't want to know how long I've been working on mine. But go ahead.
Honey, have you ever heard of like the sophomore slump or the second book crazy? That happened to me. I had a first book, it did well, and then I had so much pressure to write a second book. But the idea came to me like years ago. It came in a dream, and I had it, and I wrote it down, and I was kind of like, you know, I had this fuel, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it. And so I started it almost right after my first book, like maybe about a year after I had the idea. So that was many years ago, over a decade ago, and then
Yeah,
it kind of
that makes me feel better
evolved.
actually.
Yeah,
Anybody else who's watching who's like, man, it's been like 15 years.
life
So keep
is long, and there is plenty of time for miracles to happen. So keep the faith. Remember that we're all here for a purpose. And I just watched Tabitha Brown. I love her, and her latest Instagram post about your story is not just yours alone. She says it's for you to share so that other people can feel not alone and heal. And I believe that. I was like, oh my gosh, this woman is speaking to my soul. And it just reignited my purpose. And, sometimes it's hard and scary and painful and you feel vulnerable and you don't want to share for those reasons. But there are other people who went through similar struggles as you. And when you put that out into the universe, you can help hopefully like make people make those connections and feel like they're not alone and go through the journey of life knowing that, there are other people here that we can all hold each other and help each other through the ride. So if it does that for anybody, I'm really grateful.
What's your favorite poem though? That's not your own.
Oh, my favorite poem that's not my own. Ooh.
You have
I don't have a favorite because I love so many different kinds, but I just got Joy Harjo's An American Sunrise, which is an amazing book of poetry, and a lot of her poems in there have been resonating with me a lot. I love her writing, how timeless and just she got the ancient and the modern and everything wise in there. So that's been giving me really good soul food lately. And also Hafiz. I love his poems because they're so joyous and they celebrate God. I love all the
Yeah,
mystic.
you like Rumi too, then, don't you?
I love Rumi.
I
Yes.
know, me too. Me too.
I can feel that in you. Yeah. You
But
have to have
look,
some
Rumi or
mystic.
Hafiz? You can only pick one. Rumi
Both
or
of them. Yeah. Oh, I cannot choose. I gotta have them both.
Hafiz?
Who would you
Oh my
choose?
God. I'm not gonna tell you because you won't tell me.
Oh.
Okay. If you have you ever had a celebrity crush and who was it and why?
Mm.
Is that too much information?
You know what? I've had a number of celebrity crushes, and I've had the blessing and the not so, they were teachers to me in life because I've had some experiences with them that were like kind of like disappointing, but they taught me a lot. They taught me not to, put people on a pedestal or, give my power away as a woman just because somebody. So to be honest, like I've
These
met
were
and I've had relations with almost everybody I've wanted to, whether they were famous or not. And so it's interesting. But unfortunately, yeah, they taught me good lessons that made me stronger as a woman. I might write about it in a
okay.
book.
Let's pause there for the young girl who's like, but how did she do that?
I think
The young girl who's watching this, she said, well, she said she had relations with everybody that she wanted to. That's powerful. I mean, can we
about everybody, but
what kind of magic
if
is
I told you would be like, what? Not
a
relations,
whole
not
other episode?
sexual, but like emotional, like musical, and some physical, But I
So
think
you
it's
didn't
the power of
have like
vibration.
relations.
Vibrations, love letters, DMs, and like songs.
I got you.
Somebody know when you sing to them, and
I'm just saying that because people got dirty minds. They're like, oh, relations. She had relations with everybody.
no, not everybody. No. I'm actually very like. I wish I had more. Sometimes I regret that I didn't have more, have more fun in my young times because I was too busy being proper.
Well, what are you most proud of?
I'm most proud of my daughters. I love my daughters with all my heart. They're just such beautiful human beings. They really remind me of love. And one was born on Christmas and one was born on Easter. So they're like my little angel blessings, and they
And
really
what's
teach
their
me.
names again? And are they into poetry?
Sule and Sanaya. Sule Padahiva Kayak, she who is blessed with gifts of sea and song, and Sanaya Atarangi, who is the dolphin blessing of the dawn light. And they both love poetry and they sing and they write and they're really magical. It's just like seeing these little fairy children. Just
Oh, I'm so glad you said that because I saw images of you as like a mermaid. What's that all
yeah.
about?
You
Are you a
know,
mermaid?
I love the ocean. I love the waters. And some kids call me the mermaid of Kona over on the other side because I used to go diving there with my tail all the time and they would see me. But it's a beautiful way to escape this crazy world and the realities of it and just dive into another land where everything is peaceful and blue and just healing. So I like to do that sometimes. And my daughters have mermaid's tails as well. So we swim
So
together
it's
in
just
our
something it's like a tradition in your home just to go into that world and dress up that way. That's just
We
something
don't.
that's a family thing, or is it something you were doing for a job once and then you just kept the tails and like, "Lol, I'm gonna make some for my daughters too." I'm confused.
No, we don't get. Well, I did have jobs as a dolphin and manta swim tour guide here in Hawaii, so I did wear the tail for tourists sometimes. But I also just felt like, okay, this is my way of having like a little magical time, and I did it for myself. But then every time I would get out of the water, there would be little kids like, "Are you a mermaid?" And so I
They
would
think you're real, like a real mermaid. You really are, but I'm trying to like make you look more human right now.
But we love to be in the water together. That's one thing that is so healing for us, and that we try to do like at least once a week, because it brings us together and we're in another world together. It's like without words and so smooth and fluid. So I would recommend it for any family.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, is it better to be woke or enlightened?
Hmm. Good question. I think enlightened, just because woke sometimes has like a feeling that I don't know if that word is going out of style now, but people make fun of it a lot.
I
It had
know,
its
right? What happened?
as long as we're all like trying our best, on the journey, I feel like that's the most we can do. Like, and we shouldn't judge ourselves or each other so hard, because we all like have different stages in our evolution. And, if you had met me like many years ago, maybe you wouldn't have liked that incarnation. But, as we go forward, hopefully we'll just go more and more towards love and understanding. And I feel like the wise ones are, blessed to be able to become elders come more into that realization.
What I love that. Speaking of incarnations, if you were to come back, let's pretend you could come back, and what would you come back as? It could be like an insect, a bird, or any kind of animal. I don't know. Have you ever thought of this? What would you
Yeah,
be?
I would love to be a big banyan tree, just like giving shade and comfort and love, and just in the
The
middle of
good kind of shade.
yeah, the good kind, a warm, nourishing kind. Either that or maybe a dolphin. I feel like my spirit is very dolphin,
Yeah,
playful, fun,
I
and
love
loving. Yeah.
that.
My daughter thinks I would be a golden retriever.
How would she say that?
Isn't that hilarious? We're
Why
comparing
she
everybody.
say that?
I don't know. She said you're so friendly, and you just like try to get along with everybody like a golden retriever. We had this date where we were like, oh, what would this person be as an animal? We had fun with that all day.
Well,
What about you, Venus? What would you come back as?
you're not allowed to ask me questions.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I'm just playing. Wow. Why? I just feel like lately I've been seeing a lot of hummingbirds.
Ooh,
Like
yeah.
my last meditation where I was just sitting still and doing my best to listen to the God of my understanding and taking some deep breaths, and then I look out my window and I see this hummingbird right when I wake up. And like as soon as I like open my eyes, I see this hummingbird, and then I almost went to tears because I was just like, because it had been a while for me. Because like again, I do this sometimes with you all in the beginning of the show just so that I can make sure I have permission to pause with you.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes I know I need to do better, but as I was doing that, I opened my eyes and I see the hummingbird, and then I was like, "Oh, thank you," to remind me that I'm doing on the right track. And then it was right above the tree, and then as soon as I said thank you, it came back up almost like you're welcome. And then it went,
Look at that! That's so
I'll be
much.
like that hummingbird that's peeking in your window and saying, "Hey,
Yeah.
you're on track. Everything's good."
I love that. I feel that in you. You have that beautiful healing energy of hummingbird. Yeah, and ethereal and magical and mystical at the same time. You have that kind
Yeah.
of
And with
too.
the
Yeah.
pandemic, oh my gosh, I always look for nature signs. I'm always looking for nature signs. Like there was 3 little birds, like a Bob Marley song, and then they turned into 6 little birds on my window. They were like these little, especially last year when I was really going through it, with my mental health, like a lot of us. And I saw these birds, and I just felt like they were my sign of
Yeah.
yes. Yes, and I don't know if Bob Marley sent them, maybe. I don't know, but I was just like, thank you, all my ancestors and spirit guides, for this.
Yes.
It's gonna
And
be
that's so
okay.
beautiful and wise of you. Yeah. You feel it and you know it and you trust it. And I love that.
Oh, I don't want this to end, but
Mhm.
I have to say goodbye for now.
Okay.
It's been
Oh,
a pleasure.
yes, for me as well. Thank you so much, Venus.
Okay, I got your song though here.
Oh, okay.
You know the song you love? It's
Oh,
called
Freedom.
Freedom.
Yes, I love that song by John Baptiste. It's so amazing.
You gonna dance with me? Dance it out. Hey, I feel like freedom when I'm talking to you, sis.
Oh,
Love you
yes.
too.
Hallelujah.
Oh.
Woo!
Yes,
Shoo!
I'm gonna just say, is there? How can people stay in touch with you? And please let them know and
Yes, you're
and how they
welcome to
can
stay
get
in
your
touch with
book.
me. DM me, PM me. I'm on Facebook and on Instagram as Lani Music Love and Ishle Yi Park. So you're welcome to come talk to me over there. I do some coaching for emerging writers and also helping people with their marketing and stuff. So if anybody wants help with either a book or getting your like social media game on point, I'd be happy to help you with that. And I'm a mommy of two beautiful angels, so it all goes to feed the fam, you know. And
Yes,
yeah, if
yes.
anybody wants a garden on the Big Island, we just started Gardens of Eden to help people empower them to like grow their own gardens during this time. And I feel like I'd love to do that. So anybody on the islands, we're here to help you grow.
Grow, grow, grow. Yes,
Mhm.
and continue just being a beautiful light in this world. Thank you so much.
You
Your
too,
journey is
sister.
so cool, and it's and
Aw.
I just wish you so much longevity and so much more love and light and
Aw.
blessings, blessings, blessings.
Aloha. You're a blessing
Aloha.
to the world, Venus. I'm so grateful for this time with you. So thank you, sister. Saranghe. Aloha.
Okay. Well, that is the amazing Miss Park. I love her so much. And it is Isle E Park for those who didn't know. She is an amazing spirit. And as you can see. So thank you so much. If you love this episode, make sure you like, share, and do subscribe and hit that button. And remember, I like to always end it with this. And I like to always say, keep looking up, keep looking out. Because when you do, there's a lot less fear and a lot less doubt. Until next time, Oa.